Hello and welcome to ThePrint. Today we are in Lucknow, a city famous for its tunde kebab, chicken curry and the iconic imambaras. But did you know that over the last 40 years, gradually, the education scene of the city has undergone a major transformation? From Loreto to La Martinière and GPS to Jaipuria, the education market is so cluttered that you will find a school at every nook and corner of Lucknow. Yet, in this crowded market, one school has truly stood the test of time. We are talking about City Montessori School. Established in 1959 by Dr. Jagdish Gandhi and Bharti Gandhi, CMS holds the title of the world's largest school, boasting 21 branches in Lucknow itself.
With 60,000 students across 21 campuses, the 65-year-old CMS chain of schools has climbed to the top to become an integral part of the city, on par with legacy Lucknow schools like La Martinière and Loreto Convent. The story of CMS's humble beginnings has become part of its lore. Started in 1959 by Jagdish and his wife Bharti Gandhi with just 5 students, all from one family, CMS is now recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as the world's largest school.
So, Mr. Gandhi, as a student, had a dream to open a teachers training college. So, being amid, I thought it was a good combination, and we started a teachers training college in our own house here where you are sitting. We required a model school also where the pupil teachers will practice. So we had to open a school also. So Mr. Gandhi and myself were roaming state to state. We were not having children. But ultimately, we went to this family of Agarwal after a few days of frustrated efforts. And the grandmother of the house gave me 5 children. And she said, will you teach them with Lucknow? कोई ने एनएस से पढ़ाएगी? मैंने कहा no funds. I just went to one of my benefactors, my colleagues, grandfather. I said, look, I want to start a school. Can you give me 300 rupees as loan, which I will return you? And he very kindly gave me 300.
But within a couple of years, CMS became a full-fledged school with 5 campuses in Lucknow. Much of CMS's ascent is credited to Jagdish Gandhi's relentless drive. Awards and accolades soon came Gandhi's way. The Global Pioneer Award in the UK in 2021, the Excellence Award in 2003 from the Council of Global Education in the USA, and a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Uttar Pradesh government in 2018, to name a few. Jagdish Gandhi worked till his very last day and died earlier this year on January 24. But his legacy continues. His daughter, Geeta Gandhi Kingdon, has stepped into his shoes.
I spent all my years after the age of 16 in the United Kingdom. So I didn't know that much about the institutions, the politics, the institutional sort of arrangements in India. I had done my research on India, so I'd come here for short periods of time. But, to know a place so intimately that you can actually run anything in that place, there was quite a steep learning curve.
Right. How is your approach and management different to that of your parents? I'm sure there must be certain things you took from them and there must be certain things you introduced, you brought it. So is it a mix of both, or is it like you are carving your own niche?
I would be very foolish to not learn from them and to not learn all the great things that they did that made it a great school. So absolutely, I draw a lot of what I do is based on what I've learned from what they did and what they do. My mother still does. But of course, with my own life's experience, I brought in certain perspectives. For example, one that I would identify is more evidence-based policy making. So looking at data, for example, when it comes to academic performance data of students, how that can help us to make better policies about class size, about, from moment to moment or day to day or week to week, what a teacher has to decide to do with her students. For instance, how data can help a teacher to steer her own choice of what she does next in terms of intervention with her students. The other is, of course, digitization and computerization of those processes that were previously being done manually.
Right.
Kingdon had lived in the UK since she was 16 years old. Therefore, her approach towards the school management is quite inspired from her time abroad.
My own son went through a UK education. I myself, from grade 11 upwards, went through a UK education. So, obviously, one sees how things are done differently somewhere else. And it's inevitable that if there are some good things from that system, that one can bring them to our place here.
What were those few things, if you could elaborate?
Yeah, so, for example, one of the things that I noticed is that there is a width of offering in education that we could usefully employ here. Instead of a narrow offering, having more choices for children. For example, more subject choices. So, for instance, previously we were very we had two streams, science stream and commerce stream. So we expanded the streams to humanities as well.
When did this come?
So from about 2014 onwards, we started to add 2014, 2015 subjects like sociology, political science, legal studies. Recently, we've added mass communications, artificial intelligence and robotics. We've also added psychology.
But amid all this glory, CMS has its share of criticism. Many parents accuse the school of putting unnecessary academic pressure and focus on studies a bit too much. But students bristle at such claims. They keep CMS at a pedestal and no one can speak against it.
I believe that the strong foundation that Jagdish Gandhi ji has laid down and CMS following that foundation.
What is that foundation?
Now, the CMS vision that they have to create globally global children who think about the future, spiritually educated children. Not only the people who follow the trend, but the students who follow spirituality and education and making for the betterment of the world.
The major reason that I think CMS is very ahead of other institutions is its futuristic thought process, because it always thinks about the future. I'll just give an example. In the future, the board pattern is constantly changing. It is introducing competency-based questions as well. And we were trained of competency questions from class, I think, third onwards by the CSL pattern, which was introduced to us. So we were pretty much prepared about the competency pattern which was introduced in board, rather than the other schools which were not that prepared with the competencies. So one major reason that I think CMS is ahead, because of its futuristic thought process, that it thinks about future, and its students are well versed with both academics and co-curricular activities, because they're able to manage both properly.
First of all, as we have seen with the competitive schools, either it is does not focus on the spiritual sphere, or either it is confined to a particular age. CMS instills moral values, thus spiritual development, while making sure that the values of Jaya Jagat and Vasudeva Kutumbakam are still instilled in the child, and also it focuses on the all-round development. My brothers, when they were studying in CMS, it was not that they needed to mug up the material and that was all. It was studies and focus.
The Gandhis are not afraid of change. From Hindi medium to English to introducing grand scale events, there is a constant effort to stay on top of changing education trends. Now, students are being trained to code and use artificial intelligence to their advantage. Cambridge curriculum is in full swing at CMS. Back in 2016, CMS became the first school to introduce Cambridge curriculum in Lucknow. The Cambridge education includes educational excursions from malls to metro stations. This is hands-on learning. Additionally, the school organizes a total of 21 flagship international events, from World Peace Prayer and MUNs to Chief Justice conferences and CISP camps. These efforts have been made to shatter the label of being promoters of rote learning.
What I have seen through years, I have seen a drastic change in the education pattern, and it is for the good of the children. We are preparing them for the next the next stage of life. We are giving them so many opportunities are given to CMS.
Could you elaborate on what makes CMS stand out, like specifically?
I think academics, yes. We definitely have a big contribution towards this academic field of ours. Our children have been excelling. They have gone out to various places. They've gone abroad. They are into various sectors of our own country. And I think we have been standing out because of our academics. I have many students who are now settled, right? They are settled. They are in the different parts of the country as well as different parts of the world. They do come back and tell us that, that thing which we pushed them, maybe probably we gave them a chance to speak in the assembly, that little thing which, gave them a little inside out that, okay, fine, we can stand somewhere and talk to people. So that, that PR, that public relation, which is very important these days, they come back and they do share it.
If you talk about today's, if we see the education today, the kind of changes that new education policy 2020 has stated in, our school CMS started thinking about it during COVID time. So we always give this credit to our school manager, Professor Geeta Gandhi Kingdon, and we say she think we are much ahead of times because she was so far-sighted that during COVID times, I think nobody knew that this would be a revolution in the field of education and how the world is going to evolve. But then, ma'am just threw it as a suggestion, and from there, I think journey began of Vision 2025. And Vision 2025 is nothing but working on our teaching pedagogy, which is very, very similar and aligned to ThePrint.
For decades, CMS was seen as the school that would take anyone who could pay the fees and wasn't even considered in the same league. But gradually, it began to get noticed. Its students were making a mark at inter-school debates, sports meets, and other events. Their branding was all about being global in Lucknow. While the convents leaned on their legacy, CMS positioned itself as a school for future world leaders.
With quality education, national and international exposure, a sea of committed teachers, and over-the-top infrastructure, CMS is creating a huge impact on the education landscape of Lucknow. And it is doing all this while upholding the ethos and virtues of Mr. Jagdish Gandhi. This is Priya Gulabri reporting for ThePrint.